has indeed galvanized the Democrats.
No, she's not having success. I'm having success. I'm doing great with the Hispanic voters. I'm doing great with black men. I'm doing great with women.
Good day, I'm Andrea Mitchell in Washington, just back from the Democratic Convention in Chicago this morning, where Kamala Harris told her personal story, including the fact that she has an Indian mother, a Jamaican father, a blended family, a reflection of America today.
My mother was a brilliant, 5-foot-tall, brown woman with an accent. She taught us to never complain about injustice, but do something about it. Do something about it. She also taught us, and never do anything half-assed. And that is a direct quote. When I was in high school, I started to notice something about my best friend, Wanda. She confided in me that she was being sexually abused by her stepfather. This is one of the reasons I became a prosecutor. And to be clear, my entire career, I've only had one client, the people. I will be a president who unites us around our highest aspirations. We will create what I call an opportunity economy where everyone has the chance to compete and a chance to succeed. We can create an earned pathway to citizenship and secure our border.
Most striking, her most detailed description yet of a hawkish foreign policy. This a deliberate appeal to independent and swing voters, not the Democratic base.
As Commander-in-Chief, I will ensure America always has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world, and I will always honor and never disparage their service and their sacrifice. As president, I will stand strong with Ukraine and our NATO allies. I will not cozy up to tyrants and dictators like Kim Jong-un who are rooting for Trump. I know where I stand, and I know where the United States belongs. So let's get out there. Let's fight for it. Let's get out there. Let's vote for it. And together, let us write the next great chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told. Thank you.
The reimagined party convention energizing the crowd by bringing in hundreds of influencers, hip-hop DJs, country stars like the Chicks. And ending it all with an epic balloon drop. But we begin back in Chicago the day after with NBC News Washington correspondent Yamiche Alcindor and Washington Post White House reporter Tyler Pager. So thanks to both of you. Yamiche, you're reporting throughout extraordinary. Talk about all these moments. There was a moment last night when Harris's great nieces taught the audience with a deliberate, dig at Donald Trump mispronouncing her name, how to pronounce her first name. One of the girls later watching Harris speak in this new viral photo. Harris is the first woman of color to accept a major party nomination. But unlike Hillary Clinton 8 years ago, Harris did not mention that history should she be elected. She's making this a campaign about the voters. Yamiche?
That's right. She did not lean into the history in terms of explicitly talking about the fact that she would be the first black woman, first South Asian woman to become president. But what she did do was say that her mother, of course, someone who immigrated from India, that her mother said, don't let people tell you who you are, show them who you are. And over again in that speech, she talked about the fact that her family is a family that is going to be making her history making. The idea that her mother was not just someone who immigrated from India, but also as someone who saved for decades to buy a home, that her father was someone who immigrated from Jamaica and taught her that she should just run, run, run. So even in her sort of talking about the arc of her life and how it brought her to being interested in being a prosecutor and how it brought her to being interested in being a president for all people, she was showing America, this is my story. It's a blended family with different races, different genders, but also I am someone who's going to embody being a president for all people. So in talking to people, sources that were familiar with the speech, they told me that they really wanted to make sure that they told Americans that she earned this nomination, that she was qualified to be president, and that yes, she is a black woman, but that she didn't get this nomination because she was black or because she was a woman. So she was really trying to thread a fine line there, while also just leaning into the fact that if you look at her great nieces who were telling people, teaching the crowd there how to say Kamala, so her first name, of course, there was all of that in there, and all of the sort of conversation was around that, but she didn't lean into it explicitly because she didn't have to. You can look and see that she's making history. Andrea?
And she also dug in on reproductive rights, such an important issue for the Democrats, certainly post-Dobbs, slamming Donald Trump. Take a look at this.
He is not done. As a part of his agenda, he and his allies would limit access to birth control, ban medication abortion, and enact a nationwide abortion ban with or without Congress. And get this, he plans to create a national anti-abortion coordinator and force states to report on women's miscarriages and abortions. Simply put, they are out of their minds.
So, Yamiche, how much of this campaign is going to be focused on protecting abortion rights, reproductive rights?
Well, the campaign is built on the idea that they are pushing her and Vice President Harris, as well as Governor Tim Walz, are pushing for American freedoms, and abortion access is top among those freedoms that they want to restore for women across this country. And of course, long before she was the top of the Democratic ticket, she was the most prominent voice in the Biden administration on this issue. She traveled, had multiple speaking engagements. Multiple times. She was, of course, the first vice president or president to visit an abortion clinic. When she did that, it was very, very big news. So she's someone who feels comfortable on this topic. And Democrats see this also as an animating topic, that this will be something that will motivate people to go to the polls, because we've seen over and over again when abortion is on the ballot, the people who are in favor of abortion access and abortion rights, they've won each and every time. If you look at the midterms in 2022, Democrats were able to stave off that red wave because women came out, and men too came out and said they wanted to vote to make sure that the states that had that on the ballot, that they could restore their access and enshrine their access to abortion in their state constitution. So this is definitely going to be a topic that's going to be a priority for this campaign. And I should say I interviewed the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, and he has also been talking about the fact that men have a critical role to play in advocating for abortion access. So it's not going to just be the vice president. It's going to be also the men on the ticket talking about that. And of course, her spouse, who would be the first gentleman if she were elected. So it's going to be a big topic for sure. And it's, of course, interesting to see former President Trump saying he would be a remarkable president for women's reproductive rights, because, of course, he was the one who appointed the Supreme Court justices who then, of course, overturned Roe v. Wade and took away abortion access from so many women in this country.
In fact, him just putting up that social tweet, my administration will be great for women and reproductive rights. He was watching last night in real time and clearly seeing where the vulnerabilities are. Tyler, talk to us about the enthusiasm of the last 4 days. It was really off the charts. I've never been to a convention quite like this, certainly the modernizing of it in terms of the musical, the play, the whole hip-hop introduction, the DJ, all of that. The production values were incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this has been a sea change in the Democratic Party from what we just saw, over a month ago, when there was widespread panic and anxiety about President Biden staying in the race and what that would mean for Democratic chances come November. We saw, jubilation, excitement, just a huge groundswell of support behind this new ticket. And not just behind Kamala Harris, but a lot of excitement about her vice presidential pick, Tim Walz, someone who did not have much of a national profile before Kamala Harris elevated him in recent weeks. So the crowd, the energy around Chicago was electric. But I also think there is an undercurrent of some anxiety, and I think we saw that in some of the speeches over the course of the last few nights, where former First Lady Michelle Obama telling delegates, telling voters, look, we have to get to work. We can't just ride this enthusiasm and this excitement. There's a lot of work to be done. We saw that threaded throughout a lot of the speakers. And in conversations I've had with people working on the campaign and other Democratic strategists, there is some concern about getting too confident, that this has been a historic transition to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And there are clearly signs, both in fundraising and polling, that she has made up ground that Biden had lost, trailing Donald Trump, but that this still remains an extremely close race, that it will be decided in just a handful of battleground states, likely by just tens of thousands of votes. And so even with all this enthusiasm and jubilation that we've seen over the last few days in Chicago, they're trying to make clear to Democrats and voters around the country that it's not enough to just be excited. There's a lot of work to be done to ensure that Harris is elected in November.
Yeah, it was no accident that the term-limited North Carolina governor, who actually was briefly on the short list for vice president, Governor Cooper, was the final introducer just before the video that had brought in Kamala Harris last night. So he had a very prominent role, Tyler.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we saw a lot of those key governors, having primetime speaking slots. Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania, Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan. And we heard throughout the course of the 4 days, speakers being very clear about which states were going to decide this election, shouting out to the delegations in the crowd, trying to get them energized. But we saw, a wide diversity of speakers, but a heavy influence of those states where this election is going to be decided. One of the things that Democrats are excited about is that Kamala Harris, they believe, has opened up an alternative path to securing 270 electoral votes. When Biden was at the top of the ticket, his path to returning to the White House really ran through Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, with little room for error there. Now, some of the polling, some of the data shows that Kamala Harris is a much more competitive candidate in North Carolina, in Georgia, and Arizona, some of those Sun Belt states. And so Democrats see alternative pathways to victory. They still think their best path is through those blue wall states, in the Midwest, but very much, alternative options, which gives Democrats a little bit of breathing room in a very close election.
And it's going to be a tight race. Everyone was saying so as well last night, despite all that excitement. Thanks so much, Tyler Page. Yamiche Alcindor. Thank you. And President Biden, watching the final night of the convention while on vacation in Southern California, posting this photo of himself and the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden. The president writing that he spoke with Harris before her speech. Most Democrats respecting the courage of Biden's historic decision to hand over power, unprecedented, really, relieved, though, at the seamless transition to the vice president, and saying that the surge of enthusiasm now gives them new hope of winning. On the convention floor last night, I spoke with two top Democrats, among others, Senators Chris Coons and Amy Klobuchar, about the president's decision and how it has transformed the election landscape.
I know that he is proud of her work, and I know that he's excited for her candidacy. And you can see behind us and around us the excitement here. I've lost my voice shouting in the last 2 nights here in this convention. Of course, it's hard, but accepting that reality and recognizing that the greatest gift he could give our nation is a good shot at protecting our democracy. It's one of the most selfless things Joe Biden could have done, and I'm so proud of him that that's what he chose to do.
You think Kamala can win, can turn this enthusiasm into votes, grassroots?
Yes, absolutely. I've been to conventions since 1988. I've never seen a convention this united, this energized, and this positive. There's a lot of excitement, not just here at the United Center in Chicago, but around the country.
It has been a complete momentum shift. Joe Biden made a courageous decision. I decision that was very difficult to make, but he did it, and we are where we are now. And part of it is a tribute to her leadership, that she was able to stitch this together as she had, and pick a vice president who's a great guy and did a wonderful job last night.
How big a difference can Tim Walz make in the Rust Belt, in red states?
Well, I found it interesting that in states like Wisconsin is where they've gone ahead, Michigan, just those blue wall states, they can relate to him. I was noticing last night when I introduced him as the dad in plaid and talked about his Midwestern common sense. It's not the most exciting line, Midwestern common sense, but the whole Midwest was rising up and cheering. It was an unorthodox choice. A lot of people didn't know who Tim was, partly because he was doing his job. I mean, that's what he does, right? He's a governor, been doing his job. Everyone he worked with liked him, but he's a gem, clearly.
The Harris-Walz campaign has not said what their first post-convention stop is going to be, but Harris is heading back here to Washington later today, maybe a little rest, while Tim Walz is back home in Minnesota with his family. And up next, back to the battlegrounds. In 90 seconds, the impact this week's Democratic convention could have in swing states like Wisconsin after an action-packed convention which ended with 100,000 balloons. They were a lot of fun, but also impossible to steer clear of. If you were trying to get off the fort, you're watching Andrea Mitchell Reports.
Honey.
Honey.
NyQuil Severe Honey. Powerful cold and flu relief with a dreamy honey taste. NyQuil Honey. The honeylicious nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, best sleep with a cold medicine.
Ever worry that you're drinking too much? Take back control with Or Health. Or Health provides access to medication proven to make it easier to drink less or to quit drinking altogether. Qualify for treatment today at orhealth.com.
I avoided the mirror. I felt alone for a long time.
I remember going home and praying for it to go away, not thinking it was something wrong with me.
I go into a lot of things thinking it's not going to work, and I thought muesli would be the same thing. But it actually worked.
More than 700,000 patients have regained their confidence with Muesli's prescription treatments.
When you're hopeless and then you find other women who are in the same boat as you, you suddenly feel okay. We're gonna get out of it together. That's what Muesli did for me.
The crazy thing about GLP-1s through Roe is that my cravings have completely disappeared. I'm not quite sure how something that's just a little tiny prick can be so powerful in so many different ways.
Meet the weekly shop that helps you lose weight. Get started at Ro.co.
Looking for a way to stretch the dollar? With Insurify, you can cut your car insurance bill in half. Scroll through dozens of prices and tap to switch online. That's it. No phone calls and no wasted time. Go to Insurify and save today.
Wisconsin is a key swing state in the Democratic playbook. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz even left the Chicago convention this week to hold a packed rally in Milwaukee, at the same arena where the Republicans held their convention last month. The margin for victory in Wisconsin has been less than 1% for both Biden and Trump in 2020 and 2016. This week, the Wisconsin delegation danced in their cheese heads during the DNC roll call. I ran over to talk to the state's Democratic Party chair, Ben Wickler, about the momentum the party is riding right now.
There is unbelievable energy and enthusiasm in every corner of Wisconsin. This is a moment when Democrats are going to shoot not only to send Vice President Harris and Tim Walz to the White House, but also to flip House seats to re-elect Tammy Baldwin to the U.S. Senate, to flip our state assembly, which was gerrymandered for so long.
You sound fired up and ready to go.
Fired up, ready to go, and hoarse from cheering my head off all this week.
Everyone was hoarse. They were even handing out cough drops, helpfully. Joining me now is Milwaukee, Wisconsin Mayor Cavalier Johnson. Mayor Johnson, thanks so much for being with us today. You spoke at the convention this week. Your reaction to just the whole production values and the way people were pumped up. Tell me about it.
Oh, my gosh. It was an incredible experience to be at the Democratic National Convention, to have the opportunity to see Americans coming together around Kamala Harris's vision for inclusivity for everybody in the country. I was in Chicago for the convention all week, save for Tuesday when I went back up to Milwaukee for that outstanding rally at Pfizer Forum, the largest gathering of this campaign thus far. And let me tell you, the energy, the enthusiasm, the hope is palpable in Milwaukee and across Wisconsin.
Is that going to be translated? You know, we've been talking about it. Is it a sugar high? What are you seeing grassroots in terms of volunteers? I know the money is big, $500 million since, you know, the amount of money that they have just done in the last month. But talk about what you're seeing in terms of volunteers, the organizing, and especially young people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I can tell you this, that as mayor of Milwaukee, I mean, we're the city of festivals. There are plenty of opportunities to go out and talk to people on the ground, myself, and I continue to go out and knock on doors. And folks are paying attention to this election. They know what's going on. They're asking questions. They want to know what these candidates for high office are going to do to them, or do for them, rather. And when you show them the contrast between Kamala Harris's vision for America and Donald Trump's vision for America, it's a no-brainer. They're voting for Kamala Harris. They need to know. They need to continue to be engaged. In terms of the outreach on the ground, there are a ton of organizations that are reaching out to individuals in Milwaukee each and every single day. There's an organization called Souls to the Polls. There's an organization called Block, or Black Leaders Organizing Communities, that go out each and every single day mobilizing voters on the ground in Milwaukee. And Kamala Harris's campaign and the Democrats generally have made early and often investments on the ground in neighborhoods across Wisconsin, 40-some offices open all across the state, and moved the state headquarters to Milwaukee to reach voters that we need to reach for this election.
Ben Wickler is pointing out to me that the numbers of people who were in that arena are larger than the margin that Biden, won by in 2020 of the state in terms of the vote. Let's talk, though, about how you can sustain this and keep that enthusiasm going. You know what to expect. It's going to be a very tough, gritty campaign.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I'll tell you, I mean, there were nearly 20,000 people in Pfizer Forum. My understanding is that there were over 30,000 people that RSVP'd for the event. So there were, about 10,000 people more than that couldn't even get into Pfizer Forum that day, well above the margin that presidential elections have been won in 2020 as well as in 2016. In terms of keeping up the enthusiasm here, yes, certainly there will be a bump, I think, because Democrats are energized after our convention. I think there are some Republicans and independents, too, who also will be energized. I think we'll carry this energy on with other rallies and large gatherings across the country into the debate on September 10th. I think the debate will show the true fault line between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. She's perfectly positioned to prosecute the case against Donald Trump. She will do that in September, and that will give us some extra momentum as we head into the election this fall.
Thanks so much, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it. And
thank you.
Coming up, exactly what we're talking about, the attack mode. Next, former President Trump lashing out at Vice President Harris as she spoke in Chicago. That's next. You're watching Andrea Mitchell Reports on MSNBC.
With Fast Signs, create factory-grade visual solutions to perfect your process. Fast Signs, make your statement.
If you have to cut, pack, drive, scout, weld, stack, feed, pull, load, tow, drop, and haul all in a single day, then you just have to get in the seat of the new John Deere Gator XUV. Learn more at your John Deere dealer.
Here's to getting better with age.
Here's to beating these two every Thursday.
Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete nutrition you need and the flavor you love. So here's to now. Now available Boost Max.
Start your day with Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand.
It's payback time. All these years you worked hard, you fixed it, you looked after it. Maybe it's time for your home to start taking care of you.
We've
invested in our home. We've worked on it.
We had a whole lot of equity just sitting there.
You paid down your mortgage, invested in your home. I guess you could say your home owes you.
If you're 62 or older and own your home, learn how you could access a portion of your home equity to give you cash. A reverse mortgage could put more money in your pocket by eliminating your monthly mortgage payments, paying off higher interest credit cards, and covering medical costs.
Look, Finance of America can show you how a reverse mortgage loan can use your built-up home equity to give you tax-free cash for almost anything you might need.
Just eliminating the mortgage payment freed up a lot of cash for us.
I get to go and do what I want, when I want.
Finance of America customers talked about the counseling they got along the way, so they know how a reverse mortgage works and how their home could help pay them back when they need it the most.
I have no worries anymore.
The fact that we're still in this home means so much.
It's done everything for us that we hoped it would do for us.
Call now to receive your free, no-obligation info kit. The kit shows you how to get the cash you need using your home's equity with a reverse mortgage. Find out how your home can start taking care of you. Call 1-800-789-5153.
The worry every single month to make that payment was gone.
Our customers' homes are taking care of them. Maybe your home could do the same for you.
Call Finance of America, the country's #1 reverse mortgage lender, and get your free info kit. Call 1-800-789-5153. 1-800-789-5153.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, getting a bachelor's degree doesn't have to mean starting from scratch. Here, you can earn up to 90 undergraduate credits for relevant experience. What will your next success be?
I'm about to put you onto something incredible.
It's Blue Chew.
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew?
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew. Blue Chew.
And it helps men achieve stronger and longer lasting erections, which is pretty helpful.
I was seeing this bra all over my Instagram feed. I'm sure you're seeing it too.
This is the most comfortable bra I've ever put on in my life.
I love it because, one, it's not underwire. I hate underwire.
It smooths out your back. It doesn't give you back fat or back rolls.
And you can wear this under a t-shirt and it wouldn't leave any marks or bulges.
So not only is it super supportive, lifting and smoothing, but you have all that without an underwire and without a ton of padding. If you're looking at this and it's available, I promise you won't regret it.
Try risk-free. Free returns on all orders.
All right, team, saddle up. I want Q1 full index reports at my desk by noon.
Are you getting any of this?
Yep, Otter's got the meeting notes. I'll ask it for action items in the channel. And Maria already asked for a budget reminder. Smart.
Got it?
Got it, boss. Otter, you got this.
Super Beta Prostate is the #1 urologist-recommended prostate supplement. And now, you can find it in every Walmart nationwide. Don't ignore your prostate health. Get Super Beta Prostate.
Former President Trump was watching Vice President Kamala Harris's speech last night, giving real-time commentary on his social media platform. But he was writing seemingly incoherent, false jabs like, "Where's Hunter?" Of course, the Biden family had left Monday, so they weren't even in town. And accusing Kamala Harris of causing the Hamas attack on Israel. And today, Donald Trump continuing his swing through the West, stopping in Las Vegas to promote his no tax on tips policy. Then he holds a rally in Glendale, Arizona, where his campaign says he'll be joined by a special guest. And joining us now from Las Vegas, NBC News correspondent David Noriega. It seems likely that it's not Beyonce and it's not Taylor Swift. It's likely that it could be RFK Jr., since he was expected to make a big announcement out there today, not far from where Donald Trump is expected to be as well.
Andrea, nobody knows exactly who the special guest will be at the event later today in Arizona, but there is a lot of speculation that it will be RFK Jr. The Trump campaign is being very cagey about this. Trump has said that he would be very honored by an endorsement from RFK Jr., that he has known him for years and they get along well, but he is not. He's not saying whether he knows that there will be such an endorsement or whether he would offer RFK any kind of.
She was disgraced.
Position in his cabinet or anything like that. However, the question, though, is whether RFK endorsing Trump will make a meaningful difference in the election. RFK is currently polling at around 4%. It's a lot less than what he was polling when Biden was in the race. But again, the margins, especially in some of these swing states, are so very narrow, Andrea, that could make the difference at the end of the day in November.
Well, third-party candidates made a big difference in 2016 for Hillary Clinton, Jill Stein, and the others. Garrett Haake, our colleague, of course, speaking to Donald Trump yesterday, asking him about RFK Jr. Let's watch.
We've been reporting that RFK Jr. is getting ready to endorse you. What role would he have either with your campaign or in your administration?
Well, I don't want to get too much into it because you're telling me something I don't know, other than I've always been friendly with him. If he were going to endorse me, I would consider it a great honor.
So, David, RFK Jr. is slated to speak this afternoon in Phoenix about his path forward. So we just don't know if he's going to be in Glendale for the Trump campaign as well, right?
That's right. That's right. I mean, they're going to be about 20 minutes away from each other, so it would certainly be easy for RFK to pop over to the location in Arizona where Trump is going to be speaking. I think that's why a lot of people are speculating, if not outright assuming, Andrea, that that's what's going to happen this afternoon. But again, we don't know. We have not gotten any kind of official confirmation of that.
And Donald Trump did also call into Fox News as soon as Kamala Harris's speech wrapped up last night. Let's watch.
There was a lot of complaining. She didn't talk about China. She didn't talk about fracking. She didn't talk about crime. She didn't talk about 70% of our people are living in poverty. She didn't talk about housing, really, the trade deficit.
Well, that's not exactly the way I would describe the speech, but it seems to a lot of Trump watchers that he's a little bit unnerved by what he's seeing, David, on the other side, because this is an all-new opponent and a very different Democratic Party.
Yeah, look, I think the other evidence of that is the fact that this week on the campaign trail has been arguably the busiest for the Trump campaign this cycle. A lot of that was counter-programming for the DNC, of course, but also I do think it shows that the Trump campaign understands that it's on its back foot now. The event here in Las Vegas, for example, it's happening at this restaurant right here behind me. Trump is expected to talk to restaurant workers about, as you mentioned, his proposal to eliminate federal taxes on income that comes from tips. So today we expect him to really hammer home his talking points on the economy. I've been coming to Las Vegas and other parts of Nevada all year talking to voters. Top of mind in this state is the economy. People feel that the economy was better in the Trump years than the Biden years. That, of course, has more to do with the pandemic than the policies of either party. But that is the sentiment that we expect Trump to try his best to tap into today. Andrea?
David, thank you very much. Thanks for being there. And the state of the race next. Steve Kornacki joining us to break down where things stand as the sprint to November shifts into high gear. You're watching Andrea Mitchell Report. Stay with us. It's MSNBC.
You've got your Sunday obsession, and we got you. Now with Verizon, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV on us. And a great deal on Galaxy Z Fold 6 for a total value of $1,250. Only on Verizon.
See you Sunday.
Ugh, when is my allergy spray gonna kick in?
You need Astapro.
Astapro?
It's faster, bro. 8 times faster than Flonase.
It's faster, bro.
It's faster, bro.
It's faster, bro. It's mom to you.
Astapro starts working in 30 minutes. Astapro and go.
I tried everything for my stubborn dandruff, and then I found Nizoral. Nizoral works differently to get to the root cause of dandruff. In fact, its active ingredient is 10 times more effective at fighting fungus, the primary cause of dandruff. Say goodbye to stubborn dandruff with Nizoral.
This is what an endless summer sounds like. Now, kick off tailgating season better on a Blackstone. Available at blackstoneproducts.com.
With Dexcom G7, managing your diabetes just got easier. So, what's your glucose number right now? Good thing you don't need a finger stick. How's all that food affect your glucose? Oh, the answer's on your phone. What if you're hitting low at night? Wow, it can alert you. And you can even track your goals. Manage your diabetes with confidence with Dexcom G7, the most accurate CGM. Learn more at Dexcom.com.
Summer's burning heat is here. And for many animals, help can't come fast enough.
These animals are suffering from rays of sun that they can't escape. They don't have access to any shelter or shade. They're licking the bottom of bowls that have been dry for days. These animals are dying from heat.
For many animals across the country right now, the suffering is excruciating and time is running out.
There are animals wasting away under the hot sun, no access to shelter, no access to fresh water. They are suffering.
Will you help an animal who's suffering in the burning sun right now? Visit this website, call or scan the code on your screen. Your gift of just $19 a month can be the difference between life and death for an animal this summer.
There are situations in which an animal will lay down and they will give up because that honestly is their better escape from this reality.
And that's why we can't give up and why we need you right this minute before it's too late. 63 cents a day will provide shelter, water, and loving care to an animal who may not survive much longer. Say yes to pulling an animal out of the burning heat today. Join with your monthly gift in the next 5 minutes, and we'll send you this welcome kit and one-of-a-kind t-shirt.
We know it's our responsibility to give them that shelter as soon as possible, to get them that water, to give them that chance to survive.
So please, don't wait another second. Help rescue an animal today. Go online, call, or scan right now.
This bakery needs new equipment fast to keep up with demand. So they're going to On Deck, the online lender that makes it easy to choose your loan and, if approved, get funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
Today, where you work isn't as important as how you work. And if you're sitting too much, there is a better way. That's why we created the original Vera desk. It lets people all over the world work happier and healthier. Our newest desks are designed for comfort. They assemble in minutes, and they're guaranteed to last a lifetime. So invest in the best for your home and your health. Save up to 30% during our standing desk sale at Very.com.
I need Q1 full index reports on my desk by noon, complete with comprehensive data analysis.
Are you getting any of this?
Insights. Charles,
Yeah, Otter's got the meeting notes. I'll ask it for action items in the channel. And Maria already asked for a budget reminder. Smart.
Mom by morning. Got it?
Got it, boss.
Otter, you got this.
With the Democratic National Convention over and only 74 days until the election, the real test now begins on the road to the White House. Kamala Harris now topping the ticket instead of Joe Biden. How has that changed the path to 270 electoral votes for the Democrats? There is no one better to ask than NBC News national political correspondent Steve Kornacki, who joins us now from the big board. Steve, so much has happened in such a short amount of time, and the math has changed, the battleground map. She's got different paths, according to early polling.
Yeah, Andrea, I think that's the story. It's still a very tight race, but it has changed in the last month. We'll show you how. Big picture is this. Look, as Joe Biden was getting out of the race, this is what the polling was showing. He was down 3 points on average against Donald Trump. Now, about a month of Kamala Harris as the new Democratic candidate, on average, Harris up 2. So from Democrats down 3 to Democrats up 2. What is behind that move forward for Harris in the polling? 3 groups in particular where she's performed exceptionally better than Biden had been performing. And they're groups of voters who Democrats have in the past relied on, that Biden had been lagging with. Black voters. Harris is running 8 points better on average than Biden had been with black voters. Hispanic voters, Harris 10 points better than Biden. Young voters, those under 30, Harris 11 points better than Biden. These were all, we talked so much with Biden as the Democratic candidate about there being potential slack in the Democratic coalition. That's less the case, the polling is telling us right now, with Harris as the Democratic candidate. What would that translate into in terms of this road to 270 map that we're going to be returning to so much between now and November? Well, a couple things here. In gray, you've got kind of the core battleground states, and already you may notice most of this year we were really talking about 6. Now there's 7. There's North Carolina. Democrats have been talking all year about trying to make this a battleground. They were talking about that when Biden was the candidate, but now with Harris as the candidate, partly maybe due to the improvement in black support that you just see in the polls there. North Carolina, there's been a couple polls out showing basically a dead even race, maybe even Harris ahead very, very slightly in the polling there. So suddenly you could definitely put North Carolina in that battleground. The improvement Harris has with Hispanic voters, state like Arizona, state like Nevada. These are states where Trump had been polling very well against Joe Biden. Harris showing improvements here, too. Essentially, Andrea, what it comes down to is this. For Democrats, when Joe Biden was the candidate, it was a real narrow path that they'd been left with. Biden was going to have to win. Democrats were going to have to win Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. And you can see with those three, it would get them to 270 exactly. Not an inch to spare. They'd have to win all three of those. But with Harris and those improvements we've seen so far demographically for her, to have a Nevada, to have an Arizona, even to have a North Carolina potentially, really potentially in play, it could relieve some of the pressure on Harris and Democrats to go 3 for 3 in those Great Lakes, Big Ten states, however you exactly want to categorize them, and maybe open up a bit of a Sun Belt path. So it simply means a month into Harris as the Democratic candidate, there's more pathways, at least potentially, for Democrats. Now we're going to see, as this convention ends and the real general election takes off, how does that evolve from here? Does that remain the case? Does Trump make more gains? But for now, more paths for Democrats.
And the other factor that was being discussed on the floor last night, Steve, is the impact that she's having on down-ballot races, that some of these so-called safe Senate seats were really endangered because Joe Biden was stuck so low in the polls, and that she narrowing that gap, some of those senators were leading the top of the ticket. Now it's much narrower, and they are in better shape, the senators. That's what they were saying, at least.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you could talk, I mean, look at a state like, Arizona and Nevada. These are states with, battleground Senate races. And the story, Democrats have been performing pretty well in the Senate polls. The fear for Democrats has been, though, as well as these Senate candidates are polling, if you get to the presidential election, if Trump ends up carrying the state, does it end up having, that sort of the rising tide lifts all boats effects on the other Republicans running? If Harris, though, is able to win in an Arizona, if she were able to win in Nevada, I don't know if she will, but the possibility certainly seems to exist right now. That would only help fortify Democrats in those states, certainly from their perspective.
Yeah, and the fact that they just couldn't overcome it if Biden were still stuck as the top of the ticket, we're stuck in the mid-30s. That's not the kind of gap that, that you can overcome. Thank you, Steve Kornacki, as always. And next, we'll look forward as both campaigns race to the finish. And an exclusive moment in the basement as the vice president and her husband were leaving the stage. She paused to chat exclusively with NBC's Peter Alexander about what's next for the campaign.
What did you feel like in that moment? It felt good. I mean, listen, we've got 75 days to go, so that was good, and now we got to move on.
I own a lot of businesses, so my tech and my network need to keep up. Thank you, Verizon Business.
Now our businesses get fast and reliable internet from the same network that powers our phones.
So whatever's next, we're cooking with fire.
Switch to the partner businesses rely on.
Whether you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s and beyond, I know you're seeing changes in the skin on your body. Don't panic. It's never too late to transform yourself and your skin. And Crepe Erase is here to do just that.
Crepe Erase has been delivering smoother, firmer, younger-looking skin for almost a decade.
Did you know that Crepe Erase is America's #1 selling anti-aging body treatment system for dry, crepey skin? That's because it works, people.
The Crepe Erase two-step system is clinically shown to reduce crepey-looking skin the very first time you use it.
I just love my skin. I didn't love it before. I love it now.
And now there's big news. We're introducing the Skin Revitalizing Tool, specially designed to amplify the power of Crepe Erase.
This is the Skin Revitalizing Tool. It is new and it is free. Yes, you heard me right. It's free when you get the products.
Crepe Erase is already an incredible deal at only $49.95. But when you order today, we'll send you the Skin Revitalizing Tool, a $129 value free.
I mean, it's like having a spa in your hand.
And you'll also receive our luxurious neck repair treatment, a $49 value, free.
Since using Crepe Erase, the skin on my neck looks airbrushed. I love it.
These two incredible bonuses are valued together at $178, but they're our free gift to you.
Crepe Erase is something I recommend to my patients because it works.
Don't wait. Get all this, a $247 value for only $49.95, plus free shipping.
If you're not reveling in your younger-looking, soft and sexy skin, just return the bottles, even if they're used up and empty, and we'll give you your money back.
This is a limited-time offer that will not last. Scan the QR code, call, or go to crepeerase.com and order right now.
Power E-Trade's easy-to-use tools make complex trading less complicated. Custom scans help you find new trading opportunities, while an earnings tool helps you plan your trades and stay on top of the market. E-Trade from Morgan Stanley.
Introducing Allison's Plaque Psoriasis. She thinks her flaky gray patches are all people see.
Otezla is the #1 prescribed pill to treat plaque psoriasis. Over here. Otezla can help you get clearer skin and reduce itching and flaking with no routine blood tests required. Doctors have been prescribing Otezla for over a decade. Otezla is also approved to treat psoriatic arthritis. Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions can happen. Otezla may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Some people taking Otezla had depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss. Upper respiratory tract infection and headache may occur.
With clear skin, Girls' Day Out is a good day out. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla.
When it comes to hair supplements, you just never know.
You see things online, you just don't know if they're gonna work.
Is this gonna be powerful enough? Am I actually gonna see substantial results from it?
My dermatologist recommended Nutrafol, and it's 100% drug-free and clinically tested.
Within 3 months, my hair is fuller.
It's longer, it's thicker.
It was so nice to be noticed for my hair after hiding it for so many years.
Try the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com.
It wasn't always like this. Dryness made sex painful and awkward. But Reverie's vaginal moisturizer brought back the spark.
Thousands of women have restored their vaginal moisture. Join them at Reverie.com.
Looking for a way to stretch the dollar? With Insurify, you can cut your car insurance bill in half. Scroll through dozens of prices and tap to switch online. That's it. No phone calls and no wasted time. Go to Insurify and save today.
So, bottom line, the Democrats are riding high coming off of this week's energized Democratic National Convention. But now that the party's over, the Harris-Wallace campaign faces the real challenge of keeping the momentum going, of doing the hard work, the grassroots work. 74 days to go until Election Day. And joining us now, former Republican National Committee Communications Director Doug Heye and former Maryland Democratic Congresswoman Donna Edwards. So glad to have both of you. Let's talk about that, because you both know so much about how this really all works, especially in a 50-50 country, a tight race. Donna, there is so much enthusiasm for the campaign, the excitement, its significance. Here's what Justin Douglas, I was talking to him last night. He's a county commissioner from the Harrisburg area, basically in Pennsylvania. And here's what he told me last night.
I just think about this particular election. And I think about election night and my daughter at 15 being able to say, Madam President, and the significance and impact that that's going to have for her life as she goes into adulthood, the impact of all those that are going to come behind her, and the impact of all those that have gone before that have made cracks in that glass ceiling that has made this moment possible for Kamala Harris.
I mean, talking to him, he brought that up. I'd finished my questions, and he said, one more thing. And he brought that up. I had not thought of asking him about reproductive rights. And as a dad, he brought that up. I thought it was so interesting. He was elected just last fall. He was the first Democrat to be elected in that county, Dauphin County, since the Civil War. So he flipped that county commission seat, and that's where it all happens. You start building up at the grassroots.
That's right, and I think that this is the reason that you were going to hear both Governor Wallace and as well as the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, go out on the campaign trail from a man's perspective, talking about issues around abortion access, around what it means to have women in leadership and valuing that. And I think that's going to be a very powerful message. And I think what I came across attending so many different meetings, and I was on the floor last night and it was electric, but I came away from that thinking that there are so many people who are talking about the thing that they were going to do, are going to do tomorrow and the next day, and not just about having a celebration and a party. And I think Democrats are going to need that going into these next 74 days.
What do they need to do, Doug, in the next 74 days to keep this thing going and to build on it?
Well, I think it starts with those voters who we didn't see this week or a few weeks ago in Milwaukee. Republicans are unified and excited behind Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
Democrats are obviously unified and very excited behind Kamala Harris. I think they were unified before this week started. This was just sort of an organizing principle to sort of capture some of that. But now they've got to have that real conversation with those voters who wake up every day and they're not happy with the direction of the country. And they're upset because they've gone to the grocery store the day before, they're going to, and they know their bills are going to be too high. And maybe they don't get ice cream this time for the kids, or they're planning to go to a restaurant, it's too expensive. They don't go to the movie theater. They're worried about the fentanyl crisis, which is a word I didn't hear in the vice president's speech last night. They're worried about the situation in the border. If you're the Trump campaign, all of those things line up to where the Biden-Harris administration still remains very much underwater. And if I'm Donald Trump or J.D. Vance, I'm using the word Biden a whole lot to talk about why the country isn't behind these policies that come from both of them. And also to ask the question, I think we'll hear a lot of this from Republicans, is we heard a lot from Kamala Harris last night of what she wants to do over the next 4 years. You're going to hear J.D. Vance, you're going to hear Donald Trump, and a lot of Republican surrogates say, well, what about now? You haven't done any of that now, aside from the border bill, which I wish Republicans had passed and President Biden could sign. Why haven't you done any of this? If all these ideas are so great, where's been the momentum? Where's been the work? That's going to come a lot from Trump. And when we have the debate, one of the things we know is Donald Trump likes to pick up sand and he likes to throw it in his opponent's eyes. We don't always know what that's going to be. That's something that the Harris campaign has to prepare for in a million different directions, because you never know which way of smoke Donald Trump's going to try and throw at you.
And debates, Donna, are very different, from the hearings where she is the prosecutor and where, if, as a senator, asking the questions, you've got all kinds of control. The debate, Donald Trump comes out of the debate with Joe Biden, of course, with real confidence in his ability to do it.
Well, we also saw Kamala Harris when in her very brief run for president of the United States back in 2020, she was a very effective debater. And I think that she has actually gotten better over the last 3.5 years. She's more confident, and that really came through. And I would disagree. I mean, I think that, Kamala Harris has demonstrated that she's trying to mitigate some of the charges that Republicans might make, and you could hear that in her speech last night. And I think that there was a lot of outreach to independent voters and to Republican voters coming directly face to camera from a lot of the speakers who were there. I thought Adam Kinzinger, for example, was very effective last night in saying, Republicans be patriots. And we heard that from a number of speakers. And Kamala Harris looked directly into the camera and appeal to those independent and Republican voters, and I think that's going to go a long way.
Doug, it did seem as though in social media that Donald Trump was really off his game in watching in real time, because his comments were just totally, strange, to put it mildly. How do you expect that the smart people in his campaign, Susie Wiles and others, can manage this going forward?
I can't tell you what to expect, what's going to happen. I know that what we're seeing are two different conversations. Susie Wiles, Chris LaCivita, very smart people who are in charge of the campaign, trying to keep Donald Trump on message. A new group coming in that's saying, let Donald be Donald. That's going to be a tug of war throughout.
Is that Corey Lewandowski?
That's Corey and others. That's going to be a problem. But one other thing real quickly. You showed numbers of where the Harris campaign is doing better with younger voters and African-American voters. Very important constituency. We're not talking about Hispanic voters. Republicans have an opportunity there, but they got to put resources on the ground and on the air to win those votes.
And she still has to reach out to the older white voters who were Biden people.
Absolutely.
In her own party. We're going to have to leave it there for now.
Thank you.
Child has cancer. It's always one of those things that happens to somebody else, but it's definitely feels like your soul is sucked out of your body when they tell you that it's your baby. And you would do anything to get them to the best place that they can be for their treatment. And I knew with everything in my soul that that was St. Jude and that we had to get here.
Join the battle to save lives during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month by supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Please call or go online right now and become a St. Jude Partner in Hope for only $19 a month.
My name is Hunter. I'm at St. Jude because I had osteosarcoma. Osteosarcoma is a special cancer that's in the bone, so they had to amputate my leg.
Good catch. My hero.
Here at St. Jude, you don't ever have to worry about how much treatment costs. You never get a bill, ever, for any of it.
This September, when you call or go online with your credit or debit card, you will receive this St. Jude t-shirt you can wear to show your support to help St. Jude save the lives of these children.
Without the donors, St. Jude wouldn't be here.
Thank you so much. You have saved so many kids.
Let's cure childhood cancer together.
Heather likes things smooth, so she came to Row to start losing weight with GLP-1s. Now she's on her way to losing 20% of her weight in a year with diet and exercise.
Now that's smooth.
We got you, Heather. Connect with a provider at row.co/TV.
I was seeing this bra all over my Instagram feed.
This is the most comfortable bra I've ever put on in my life. So not only is it super supportive, lifting and smoothing, but you have all that without an underwire and without a ton of padding.
If you're looking at this and it's available, I promise you won't regret it.
Free returns on all orders.
We need a miracle.
Miracle every Thursday starting at 2:45.
I love you.
I know.
Find childcare that fits your schedule at care.com.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this. Loan cannon!
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to ondeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
The best feeling is when we take off our bras. It's not true. Honey Love bras are the most comfortable bras I've ever worn. No underwire. There is some boning on the sides, which make it super comfortable and supportive. No back fat. Never. It's fun. It's beautiful. It's supportive.
Free 30-day returns. Shop now at honeylove.com.
Good day, I'm Chris Jansing, back from the DNC and live at MSNBC headquarters in New York City. She's off the trail today, but absolutely not off the clock. Kamala Harris, after acknowledging the hard part is about to begin, is meeting today with staff in Chicago to chart the campaign's next steps for the grueling fight ahead, before returning to her other job, her day job, VP in D.C. Plus, while Harris heads east, Donald Trump heads west, trying to claw back and reclaim some momentum by pummeling the VP online and rallying in not one but two battleground states today. So what else is the former president planning to get his own campaign's juices flowing again? And digging into Kamala Harris's deep connection with Howard University, the alma mater she says helped shape her as a person. Coming up, I'll talk to another Howard alum about how Harris's nomination is breaking new ground for graduates of historically black universities. So much to get to, but we begin with 4 words that tell you exactly the mindset of Kamala Harris's campaign today. Her team posted this picture just before 1:30 this morning of